What the heck is going on, guys? Welcome back to Cube Tips episode 4, and in this video we'll be critiquing a 13.88 3x3 average of 5 from Divyaansh Khatri, or some of you might know him as Art Cuber. Let's get started. So, on the first crumble, you got an 13.15, and your cross edges were hair, 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 and hair. And you did it like this. However, you could have done something like this and saved a couple of moves. Orange goes relative to red. Then you could insert green, do a D prime, and then insert it and finish off with a D2. For your first pair, you did these two like this. However, after doing those three moves, and instead of rotating, you could just do F moves like this, which is also pretty fast. Then you did these two like this. Even though the solution was optimal, you could have done this case rotationless like this, pairing them up. Instead of rotating, just do an F prime and do wide moves like that. For your third pair, you did these two. You did a U2, paired them up and inserted it, which is okay, but I would recommend doing this pair first, because here the corner is twisted and doing it as the last pair is pretty annoying and it takes a lot of moves. So you can do keyhole here like this, and then you'll be left with the exact same case for your fourth pair. So for your last pair, you did like this. Which is perfectly fine and no complaints there. At last you had your OLL, which is a pretty easy one. It is F double sexy F prime, and then you had a T perm. You did it like this, and here you did a wrist turn like that. So I wouldn't recommend doing a wrist turn because sometimes it might lock up. Instead, you can just do a U move with your middle finger, and it would be much easier to execute. So on your second solve, you got an 13.35, and you did your cross solution on white. The cross edges were hair, 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 and hair. You did like this. So your cross solution was optimal on white, but as you told me that you can solve cross both on white and yellow, there was a much better cross solution on yellow. That was 4 moves compared to 6 of what you did. Here it goes. So for your first pair, you did these two. You rotated, paired them up, and then inserted it in the back. But instead of going for these two first, you could have gone for these two. And to solve these two, it wouldn't need a rotation or to do U moves to figure out which case it is. It goes like this. Pair them up and then insert it in the back. For your second pair, you did something like this. For these two, you separated them, you two rotated and then inserted it. So, as I said before, you must try to solve the twisted corner pieces first. So either you could have done keyhole here to solve this, or you could have solved these two, which wouldn't require an rotation. You pair them in the back, take it out. Now instead of solving the cross piece, you bring it up, insert it in and solve the cross back. Next, you did this pair like this. Which is fine and no complaints there. For your last pair, you did like this. Which is also nice. So, you had this L-shape OLL, which you did L moves for. Like that. So, you kind of locked up on this OLL a lot while performing the alg. So, I would recommend switching to a better alg that includes R moves. And it is pretty simple to memorize. It goes like this. Here is how it goes faster. So, next you had a G perm, and in my opinion, a U would have been enough to determine which case it was, but you did a U again to figure out where your headlights were, and then did a U prime and then executed the alg like this. So, your cross-lesion was like this. And the reason why you did F moves was to make a better X cross. Like that. So, there were two better options for this kind of cross-lesion. The cross-lesion would be same, but instead, you could bring this corner down first and then insert it, and then you could make an X cross with these two, and that would be much finger trick friendly. Or otherwise, you could have looked up to your first pair, which would be these two, and done it like this. Made the cross the same way, did a D prime and a U prime simultaneously, and then solving these two, which would be much faster instead of doing an L2 U2 L2 U2. So for your second pair, you did it like this. However, this is something that could be definitely improved on. You could have rotated, moved this corner, and then taken this edge out in the back like that, and then just inserted it with F moves. So it would just require one cube rotation and it could be pretty fast. like that. So for your third pair, you went for these two, like this. But I would recommend doing these two because it wouldn't require any rotation, just a U2 to set up and then finish off like that. So your last pair was nice. You did like this and no complaints there. So next is OLL, which is pretty straightforward. And you did like that, which is perfectly fine. Next was PLL and you got in G perm again. So your starting was pretty straightforward. You did it like this. But here you did a D B2 U prime, which is really awkward to finger trick and it does require a regrip. So here is something that you could have done. Just go into the alg normally as you did. Now instead of doing a D and a B2, you can just do a wide U prime and finish it off with an R2 U prime like that.
Back turning.
So what you did for your cross was something like this. So even though the cross solution was great, it could have been finger tricked much better. You had a regrip while executing your cross. So you could have done it regripless like this. So for your first pair, you did these two like this. You took the edge piece out, saw it, set it up to a 3-move insert, rotated and inserted it. Instead, what you could do is rotate here, do a U prime, and then pair these up and insert them into the back like this. So for your second pair, you did it like this, rotated, paired it up and inserted it. So there were two options. Either you could have paired the second pair up here and inserted it in the back like that, or you could have gone for these two and done it like that. So you did your third pair like this. You did a U2 to see these pieces, rotated, did a U again to set them up, paired them up and then inserted it in the back. So again here you could have done F moves to pair these up, but here it was best to rotate so that the free slot would be on the left. But here you could have easily recognized by these two top stickers what case it was. Instead of doing U-layer moves, pair them up and insert it the same way. So for your fourth pair, you did a U2 and inserted it like that and no complaints there. So next you had your OLL, which is just F double sexy F prime, and it is pretty simple, so no complaints there. So the PLL was straightforward as well. You did it like this. So what you did for your cross solution was pretty long. You did it like this, set it up blue and green, did a D2, rotated, inserted orange, rotated back, and then inserted red like that. So instead what you could have done is do a D2 R D R prime F, and it would have been a much better solution. So your first pair was perfectly fine and you did it like this. On to your second pair, which was also nice, you did it like this, which is the best possible way to execute it. Next, you did these two, like U to U. So I would kind of recommend just doing a U prime, and from here you could easily recognize which case it was. So you could just do it like that. But here, this is a really easy multi-slot case that you could easily recognize. So you rotate, and it is pretty intuitive. You rotate, do a D prime so that this corner gets preserved. Pair these two up like that, and then insert it in the back like that, and both the pairs will be solved. Now for your last F12 case, you did it like this. But you could have done it rotationless like this. Next was this easiest OLL case in my opinion, which you did it like this, and it is perfectly fine. Next, for your PLL, you did a U prime, and then executed like this. So here it would be better if you would have done an alg that included a rotation, and it would have been no AUF because this matches, and you'll need a U prime to set it up and recognize which case it was. And the alg goes like this. And as I said, no AUF. So just to sum up, improve on your F12 skills, basically learn some new F12 algs, and try to get your cross solution at least under 7 or 6 moves if you want to be at least sub 12, and definitely like improve on your finger tricks. And I was also noticing that you had a kind of a locky cube, so definitely invest in a better one. So that's it for this video guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one. Till that time, bye.